Hey guys, welcome back to the Full Co. The day after the Tottenham Hotspur versus Nottingham Forest match. Unfortunately, Tottenham falling to yet another defeat, 1-2 as it was at home. Obviously, Nottingham Forest are a very good team this season. They are playing very well. They know what they're doing. They're well drilled. And even though they maybe were coming into the game not at full strength, Tottenham certainly didn't put out what you would say is our best 11 to try and compete and to try and win that game. So just wanted to have a quick look at it in terms of what I thought. I can totally understand that in terms of the fan base, there's a lot of negativity around our league form this season. Just no matter what we say about it's all about the Europa League, it's all about the semi-final and trying to get to the final and win that trophy. It still hurts when we lose games. We still get frustrated by the performances. We still get frustrated by the errors. And this game was no different. Before the game, I said what I was really looking for was the performance. And now that Andrew's shown his hand that he is going to alter what he does, and in fairness, this is not that he hasn't altered throughout the course of the season. It's just he's been much more flexible with his approach to the second leg of the Eintracht Frankfurt game in the Europa League than he has been in our league performances in terms of the way that he's asking his team to play in order to get results. So what I was looking for was how is that going to manifest itself in things that he's trying in the league that maybe are part of, you know, him setting us up for different ways of playing in the next kind of hopefully 3 matches in the Europa League. So in this game, even with once again a changed lineup to try and get minutes through legs, so no issue whatsoever with the team selection. My biggest problem is with the fact that it is seemingly some of our first team players who are consistently making errors, and that could in itself be very problematic in the Europa League. So Vicario has shown that he is struggling now. He had a little bump when he came back from his injury. I thought he played really well. He looked a little bit better under the high ball. But, you know, he's very much reverted to where he was before. So the issues that we've got with Vicario are, I've never liked the timing of his footwork. And I think he's too busy mentally. He's got too much going on. His mind's going at 1,000 miles an hour. He's, you know, rattling away and shouting at people. Whereas what I feel he needs to do is he needs to work on his own stuff and then worry about his leadership role, because it's no good taking on a leadership role if you yourself are not performing. So that, for me, is something he really needs to work on, and I felt that he again didn't help us in this game in terms of a goalkeeping performance, and that in itself is problematic. So yeah, I know people will be asking questions and, you know, say, well, Kinski should have played and given minutes. You know, that goalkeeping position is one where you want consistency and you want fluency, and, you know, you're not so much worried about injuries and, you know, player load. So it's definitely one that I don't think there's any criticism that Vicario plays every game all the way through to the end of the season, unless there's a reason not to in terms of injury. But he struggled. That first goal, you know, we defended it really weakly. Like that, there was a few swipes at the ball as it kind of flew across the box, and I felt we could do a lot better with that. And you know, it's right in front of me where I stand, and looking down on it, the first swipe as that ball, which to me was a mishit ball across, you know, backwards across the box. The first swipe of it, I let out an involuntary groan, because you could almost feel it. You know, when you start swiping at a ball in the box, this being Tottenham Hotspur, you just feel it's going to fall to somebody. In fact, it fell, you know, it managed to make its way all the way out of the box. And then you're thinking, this will be just like Tottenham's luck for him to smack it into the top corner. Now, he didn't. He takes a hit. It takes a bounce off Bentancur and kind of bounces down and up. This definitely adds a layer of complexity. Potentially Vicario, if we're being generous, might have been unsighted. I'm not entirely sure. So there's a really good camera angle that I've now seen since, and I do feel that he's looking down the barrel of it. But it does, that bounce obviously changes the rotation of the ball. It sends it into the grass, and then it sends it on an upward trajectory. I still feel like he's got to get more behind that. I might be doing him a disservice on that one, but it's, if it was an isolated incident, you would give him the benefit of the doubt. You'd say, yep, that deflection kind of takes it over him, the spin, the rotation of the ball takes it up and over his gloves, and it kind of like top spins off and into the net. So you'd give him that. But unfortunately, his performances of late have shown that he himself is not on a good run of form, and so there's that niggling feeling that it might have been more of an error, and he'd be pretty disappointed with it. So yeah, definitely want to see us do better from that. We then got away with it, maybe. Again, it's good defending, good defensive line played. Forest offside for the disallowed goal. It felt it was, again, too easy to get into that crossing position. We know what their threat is. Ball delivered in, but okay, we held the line well and we kept it at 1-0. So we'll call that good defending. But then we compound on it, and we're 15-16 minutes into the game, and we've effectively handed Nottingham Forest the exact game plan they were hoping for, so they can go and do what they do, which is sit in mid-low block, counter-attack if they can, try and knock balls into the big man up front, or try and bring on someone like a Wanyi and hold the ball up. Absolutely everything they want from game, Tottenham Hotspur hand to them. That's super disappointing. This is the kind of stuff, it was, what were Tottenham going to do from a tactical aspect against this Nottingham Forest side? What were they going to do differently? And there was loads in that game that you could look at and you could say, okay, Ange's trying things and he's doing things a bit differently. But in the end, individual concentration and individual errors continue to cost us in the league. And it is one of those things where it's only going to get to a certain point, this being Tottenham Hotspur, that it's going to cost us in the cup competition. So we really do need to snuff these things out. We need to get rid of these errors. That second goal, Romero doing Romero things. He has absolutely no reason. He was lucky not to get an early yellow card in that game. He decides to go charging up again, smashes through the back of the Forest player near the halfway line when he really doesn't need to. And they've got a set piece which they work. Okay, they work a trick play and fine, that's okay. We are, not necessarily caught by it. It's not like we were caught cold by it, but you know what you need to do. You know where you need to be on that one. And Vicario just comes and he flaps. If you're coming, you come and you take everything. You take everything and everyone. He doesn't. He gets nowhere near the player, nowhere near the flight of the ball. Stay on your line. You've got a better chance of doing something. Chris was probably still good enough to nod that into the corner, a bit like our goal later on from Richarlison. But yeah, it's one of those where we could have been slightly more switched on in terms of getting out to Elanga for the cross. But, Vicario, you either stay and you look to make a save, or you come and you kill absolutely everyone. You'd rather see what Cal Santos did to James Maddison than the soft goal that we conceded, for 2-0. You'd rather see him come and clatter everybody and potentially give away a penalty than these really soft, missing the ball, because it's a consistent pattern, and teams are going to identify it, and they're going to try and use that against us. So again, very disappointing. Don't want to see that kind of stuff. And yeah, Vicario really does need to take a long, hard look and kind of maybe calm his mind down a little bit. His footwork, it needs so much work. It's incredible to me for a goalkeeper of his age to be so indecisive. The first yard of that goalkeeping is in the decision making, and because he's not confident coming for balls, he hesitates a fraction, then decides to come, and then it's too late and all the timing is off. But yeah, he really does need to work on that. So that's something kind of going into next season. If Vicario is going to continue as number one at the club, he's got a lot of work to put in over the summer. And this being yet another season where we're saying the same things, he's running out of time. He's running out of time to work on these things before Tottenham have got to make a decision on what we do with our goalkeeping goalkeeping slots. Then the game kind of settled into an attack versus defence. Tottenham maybe struggled a little bit. The pace of the build-up, you could see that this was a group of players that don't have rhythm. A lot of them haven't played together. There was a bit of indecision in terms of how to progress the ball and what to do. But it was largely comfortable, and we were pressing without being particularly dangerous. And we've said that before, right? We've had this exact thing where the Wolves game, which was quite a poor defeat, but it didn't feel difficult to progress the ball up to a certain point. But beyond that, we were a bit toothless. There was quite a lot of that in this game as well. But in the end, we did produce a few good chances. From a more positive aspect, I was pleased to see that we were willing to deliver the ball into the box. And what's interesting about that is that Nottingham Forest are a side you would say are well set up for that. And we forced them into a defensive change because I think they weren't expecting us to be loading the ball as much as we did. Pedro Porro's got good delivery. That obviously bears fruit later on. But I want to see a little bit better from Odobert in terms of delivery, but I really enjoyed the fact that he was positive. He was trying to take his man on 1v1. That was nice to see. Matisse Tell, same kind of thing on his side. He was consistently looking to take his man inside, outside, and try and do something and try and deliver crosses. The delivery wasn't there. The quality of the delivery, usually too deep or maybe hitting the first man. So again, there's work to be done, but positive to see a young man kind of taking it on himself to fill that left-sided role. And then when we got into good positions and we were kind of working the Forest, particularly the Forest left back, we were looking to deliver the ball, and we just need that little bit more quality, certainly in the first half. But in the second half, we did start to put a bit more of that together. We made a few changes, and then we had a really good chance from a set piece, which is nice to see. A good header from Kulusevski. That's on its way in, and it's only a brilliant goal line clearance that keeps the game at 2-0. So that's good. We want to see that kind of stuff. So again, it's a side that is set up to defend set pieces and be good under the high ball, and we're showing that we can, because of the quality of the delivery at times, we can create problems for the opposition. Good to see Decky getting a header, which we don't really associate with his game. So that was nice. In the midfield, I remain concerned by Pape Sarr. He has not had a great season. He continues to struggle to impose himself on games. I ask the same question all the time. Is he playing injured? Is he carrying something? Or is it just a lack of confidence? I don't really know. But he's really, really struggling to make himself felt in games. And that's something that's going to need seeing to. But hopefully what we really need between now and the end of the season from Pap is him coming on as a defensive, legs coming on and providing energy for us and supporting us defensively. So let's see on that one. We finally do manage to get a breakthrough. We had a couple of half chances, a couple of efforts. We threw on Dom Solanke, who effectively ran on in the number 10 position, but yeah, we could then have a lot of pressing going on behind Richarlison and then Solanke kind of making a second striker and another big aerial threat. Excuse me, and then we get our rewards. So after a couple of decent balls in from Porro, we managed to get the right line, the right angle, and a good ball in, and pick out Richarlison, who does really well. It's a really nice header. It's nicely worked. It's a perfect ball in, and it's a really nice header into the far side. He had a sighter from a deeper Porro cross that Sells did really well to get down and save, but this time he got it too far over, and the keeper couldn't do anything about it. So it's 2-1, and you felt, okay, is there time for a push? Is there time for us to make a comeback? But unfortunately, we didn't really push on from there. We didn't really drive forward, and we allowed Forest to kind of take the time out of the game. And we weren't really positive enough to try and create another big chance. So there were bits and pieces in there. Like I said, I'm glad that different things are being tried. Second striker, removing one of the three midfielders, changing up the centre halves. Danso coming on, he did okay, but again, you can see the difference between Romero, and it's very easy to be angry with Romero right now, but you can see the difference in quality. Whereas Danso comes on, and I think we love him because he's big and he's willing and he's got a smile on his face and he's really, really trying, but there is a lack of technical quality there. You see that with a couple of his passes, maybe rusty, of course, having been out for a while. Then he had a shot with his left foot where, the mechanics of it, you could see as he was lining up for the shot, there was absolutely no chance this was going anywhere near the goal. And he kind of scooped across it and sent it wide of the left-hand post, off his left foot. Not his strong foot. We'll give him that as well. But yeah, these are the kind of things. It's positive having Davis and Danso there as our backup centre halves and being able to get the minutes, bring players on. And you saw again, I think, a little bit where Johnson and then especially Berrival coming on, it did improve the team. And so you can very clearly see the divide between the players that are getting minutes and those who are going to be playing in the Europa League games. It's a pretty damning kind of situation for someone like Yves Bissouma, who really does look like he's fallen down the pecking order, which is a shame because there is a quality enough player in there for us to be able to rely on him and to need him in these important games. So I really hope he's still training with the intensity and with the kind of personality that you need, so the manager's not completely discounting him. Anyway, we don't get out of there with anything. We could maybe argue that we were largely comfortable, but those issues, individual errors, concentration, and us conceding early goals and handing the initiative to our opposition, effectively playing into their hands, giving them the easiest or the best possible platform to get a result against us. And that's super disappointing. Again, you're looking for performances in the league. I'm going to continue to say this, okay? I'll be disappointed by the result, but I'll let the result go. I don't really care. Finish 17th. Who cares if we win the Europa League? But I really do need to see an uptick in some of these performances. And this is from starters, not from players who have been on the bench, are coming in and filling in. So we really do need a bit of a push in these league games. We move on. Difficult next game coming up, next league match coming up against Liverpool, and then obviously we move on to the first leg of the semi-final next week. So let's see what we can do. I'll be interested to see if there are any other tweaks to the tactical system when playing against Liverpool. If there's anything I can think about in the meantime, I'll make a little video on it. If not, let's do a little wrap of how the Liverpool game goes. We're not expecting to get a result, but is anything we do in that game kind of a view to what we're going to try and do against Boda in the semi-final? Let's leave it there. Let's try and have a good week. And as ever, come on Tottenham.